perhaps some interesting things that happened while the kids were growing up musically. The kids were pretty young, and but old enough so that Lee and I thought we would enjoy being in a community orchestra together. So we joined the Montebello Symphony, a suburb of Los Angeles, the community symphony. The leader of that symphony was John Coppin, who was the assistant principal violinist of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, who had had a great career in music in Los Angeles. His wife was a cellist, Margaret Coppin. And during this tenure, maybe Leslie had started playing violin already, I'm not sure, but Shelley decided to play an instrument. Pardon me. She wanted to play the harp. But Lee had grown up with a girl by the name of Stella Castellucci, and I'm friendly with Stella to this day. And Lee knew that harp playing was very lonely kind of an instrument. And she didn't think that would be good for Shelley. She didn't think Shelley would thrive well in that kind of social structure. So she talked Shelley into playing the cello, which has worked out well. So she went to Margaret Coppin and said she wanted to have her wanted Shelley to study with Margaret. And so Margaret said, okay, teach her a 2-octave scale in C, and then come back and we'll start lessons. So Lee taught her a 2-octave C major scale, cello. Not that big a deal, transfer the information, because she had a bachelor's degree in music, give me a break, But that was the way it started. And we got very, very friendly with the Coppin family. Lee then studied with John. Leslie studied with John. And as I said, Shelley studied with Margaret for quite a while, I don't know how long. And there may have been some teachers in between, I don't remember, but then Shelley studied with Schoenfeld, Alice Schoenfeld. Alice and Eleanor Schoenfeld were a cellist, violinist pair of sisters who toured extensively in Europe. They were from Germany originally. And were very, very well thought of in the music industry and so forth. And turned out some great, Alice did, great cellists. And kind of more to that, in fact, the gal that played first principal cellist in Fort Worth Symphony for a couple of years, she was in the Fort Worth Symphony before, and then there was an opening as principal, and she auditioned and she got the job. She's now in Chicago Symphony. She had studied with Eleanor. Eleanor turned out some really good cello players. So while the kids were young, we lived way east of downtown Los Angeles, in a suburb. And the kids were now old enough to be members of a youth symphony, in which there were actually 2 or 3 involved in this, started by this guy. Marin Bloom, his name was Marin Bloom. And he rented space at a place in West Los Angeles and had at least 2 symphonies going, like, the higher one and the lower one, maybe the middle one, maybe 3 of them, I don't remember. But all three kids were in there at some point in time. And so we used to drive from where we lived, and it was at least an hour drive, to get from the east side of Los Angeles County to Plummer Park. That was the name of the place where Maribel orchestras rehearsed. And it was very common for people who were in Maribel Orchestra, the next step up was the LA Philharmonic. It was very common, like it was a training orchestra for the LA Phil, almost. And so they were in there for, I don't know, quite a long time. And they were in Montebello Symphony with us early on. And then Baron Bloom, and on up the line. So, questions?
I'll have to think on it.
When Sarah was born, Shelley's first child, and she was 2 or 3 years old, Lee started giving her violin lessons, based on the Suzuki method, where you don't have to read music, you just learn by listening. And Sarah became a pretty good violinist. Eventually she learned to read as well. But she became a darn good violinist. And at some point, I think when she started college, is when she said, I've had enough of that, I don't want to do that anymore. And that's okay. Now in the meantime, Sarah has 2 children. The girls are like 6 and 8 or something like that.
I think 7 and 9.
7 and 9. And both of them are playing the violin. Mm-hmm. In fact, Lee used to teach them both piano as well, early on. And, but they're both playing violin. I haven't heard them play for quite a while, so I don't know if they're, how well they're doing, but they're doing. They're playing the violin. I didn't mention David. David played the trumpet early, when his instrument. He played the trumpet. And at some point in his life, he, I think, decided that he couldn't compete with his sisters. And so he quit. I don't do it anymore. But his musical knowledge, it far exceeds most of us. It's fantastic, especially in terms of rock bands and guitar players and such. I mean, he listens to the radio constantly and absorbs in it. He's a very intelligent guy, and he absorbs that information. And so he can come back and tell you who played with what band and when and how and this and that and the other thing. Just unbelievable amount of knowledge that he has acquired about that sort of stuff. And he taught himself to play the guitar for a while. Guitar is an interesting instrument because you can do it all by yourself. The trumpet, not so much. Piano, yes. You can really create music with a piano. Guitar, you really can create music with a guitar. All you can do on a violin or a trumpet is play the melody. It's a different kind of thing altogether. But he played the guitar for a long time. I don't think he does currently.